Imagine this. You grind through a long month at work. Early mornings, late nights, barely any breaks. Payday finally arrives. Your boss sends a message. You've earned $2,000. You check your bank account. Only $1,450 shows up. Where did the rest go? Welcome to taxes. Before your money even touches your hands, the government takes its share. Federal tax, state tax, social security, healthcare tax. It's like a buffet where everyone gets a plate before you do. Now, in theory, this money keeps society running. Roads get built, schools stay open, hospitals function. Food safety inspectors make sure your lunch doesn't come with a side of bacteria. But there isn't just one tax. There's income tax on what you earn, sales tax on what you buy, investment tax on money your money makes while you sleep. And then there are payroll taxes. Social security is basically forced retirement savings. You put money in now so future you can survive later. Medicare is a healthcare pool for the elderly and people with serious medical needs. Then comes the fun part, filing taxes. The government already knows what you owe, but they make you calculate it anyway. If you guess right, great. If you mess up, penalties. Some people pay monthly, some yearly, and some ignore it completely, until they appear in crime documentaries. Annoying? Yes, but countries with higher taxes often have better public services and higher living standards. Now let's talk about banks. When you deposit money, you probably imagine it sitting safely in a vault like a movie scene, but that money doesn't just sit there. Banks take most of it and lend it out. Your $1,000 deposit might help someone buy a car, a house, or a jet ski. They only keep a small portion on hand in case people withdraw. This system is called fractional banking. It works, as long as not everyone rushes to pull their money out at once. When that happened in 2008, the whole system nearly collapsed. Banks make money by lending your cash at higher interest than what they pay you. You're the supply. Borrowers are the demand. They attract you by offering convenience, safety, and a little bit of interest. And in many countries, your deposits are insured up to a certain amount if a bank fails. Now let's talk about interest. Interest is basically money paying rent. When you borrow, you pay extra for using someone else's cash. When you save or invest, you earn extra for being patient. There are two main types. Simple interest is straightforward. Compound interest is where things get crazy. That's when interest earns interest. Miss a credit card payment? Now your interest grows. That small purchase slowly turns into a massive regret. But when you invest, compound interest becomes your best friend. Money slowly multiplies. At first it feels small. Then years later it explodes. That's why interest creates both massive debt and massive wealth. If you're paying it, destroy it fast. If you're earning it, let time do the work. Next up, inflation. Ever notice how snacks keep getting smaller while prices keep rising? That's inflation. Money slowly loses buying power. Your $10 bill still says $10, but it buys less food, less fuel, less everything. Inflation happens when demand rises faster than supply, when production gets expensive, or when people expect prices to rise and spend more now. A little inflation is normal. Around 2% per year keeps the economy moving. But when it spikes, savings shrink and living gets harder. Governments fight inflation by raising interest rates. Higher rates make borrowing more expensive. People spend less. The economy cools down. Sometimes that cooling leads to a recession. A recession is when the economy shrinks for months in a row. Jobs disappear. Companies cut spending. People focus only on necessities. Recessions can be caused by high interest rates, global crises, pandemics, wars, or just the natural economic cycle. Think of the economy like a party. At first, everyone's having fun. Then the music slows, the lights turn on. Reality hits. Recessions are painful resets, but they don't last forever. Eventually, spending returns and growth begins again. Now let's talk about credit scores. Your credit score is basically your financial reputation, a number that tells lenders how trustworthy you are, not how rich you are, just how reliable. It usually ranges from about 300 to 850. Low score? Loans get expensive or denied. High score? Better deals and lower interest. Your score depends on paying on time, how much credit you use, how long you've had accounts, different types of credit, how often you apply for new loans. To grow it, pay on time and don't max out your credit. Ignore it and it ruins opportunities. Take care of it and it opens doors. Now let's zoom out to money itself. Money isn't actually valuable. It only works because we all agree it does. A dollar bill has no real use, but society believes in it. That belief gives it power. The government prints it. Central banks control supply. People trade it for goods and services. Print too much. Inflation explodes. Too little, nobody can afford anything. Money is just shared trust in paper form. Now investing. Investing is how you fight inflation. Instead of letting money sit still, you put it to work. You can invest in stocks, owning small pieces of companies' bonds, lending money for interest funds, collections of investments, real estate, property that earns rent. Wealth isn't built by luck. It's built by time, patience, and consistency. Markets rise and fall, but the real risk is never investing at all. Next, value. Why is gold worth more than a rock? Not because it's better, because it's rarer and humans want it. Value is what people are willing to pay for. Companies like Apple became huge because they created things millions of people valued. Luxury brands charge insane prices because people perceive them as valuable. Money follows value. I create a lot of value, earn a lot of money. Finally, time. Time is the most powerful asset. Most people trade hours directly for income. The wealthy use leverage, skills, and systems to make their time multiply. But time's greatest power is in investing. Small amounts, given enough years, become massive. Wealth isn't built in months, it's built in decades. Ordinary people can become wealthy not by cheating the system, but by using it.